The Great Debaters Contest is brought to you by Safaricom M-Pesa.
Hello and welcome to the show that makes intellect great, the Great Debaters Contest. I am your host, Austin Yambok.
And I am Mariam Bishar.
Is devolution what has made politics local and violent?
And to handle such a complicated topic, we brought you only the best from various regions. We have Makueni facing off with Maryhill High. Let's see how these debaters handle this topic. The first proposer begin. You have 3 minutes.
We are not against devolution, but rather against the way it has been implemented in these local governments. My name is Sibyl Nkandutia from the Maryhill Girls High School, and I'm here to propose this motion that states that devolution has made politics more local and violent than ever before. First, devolution is the act of bringing power from a central authority or government to an authority or government in a local region. And politics are the methodologies and activities associated with running the government. Violence is this strong, sudden, or its synonym is intense that might even lead to physical injury. Now, talking about devolution, it has brought about ethnic divisions. You know, the fact that our country has got the majority and minority is no longer a secret. It is something that was made so clear by the centralized government. And well, to the minority, they were like already used to this fact. Then here comes the hope of finally their dreams being accomplished, or finally them being heard, or the problems being solved by these devolved governments. Is that what happens? No. Even in these decentralized governments, there are still ethnic divisions. And in fact, it is worse, it is intense, because it's not being now carried out in the cloud level. It has been reduced to grassroots level, right in their presence, when in their own counties, there is still the rule of majority and minority. I'll give an example of a county like Mandera, where we have the majority who are the Gari and the minority the Degodia. Now these Gari believe because they are the majority, they should lead everything and they should be the ones who get the first priorities in all the privileges. And instead, they're treating this minority and making them feel and even referring to them as encroachers of their ethnic strongholds. Is this what you put up devolved governments for? No. And then move on to decentralized resources and power actually leads to something I call devolution of corruption. Because in the centralized corruption, there was corruption, there was inefficiency and ineffective management of the government. Now, since we have 47 counties in our country, what are we trying to say? We have 47 ineffective, inefficient, and corrupt governments. And this has been intensified because in the case of the local government, there is no scrutiny. There is no scrutiny by the media. And actually, corruption it's actually been given very less attention. So it is intensified in these regions. I'll give an example of the Kiambu County, where we have the governor using money without following the guidelines in the Finance Act. And nobody is taking note of this. This is a report of the Auditor General. Nobody is taking note of this because it is in the base of the local government. Seriously, are we going to keep on lingering in corruption and these devolved governments? Thank you.
First proposer, you have 3 minutes for your opening statements.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dennis Gitonga from Makueni Boys High School, here to oppose the motion. Devolution has caused has been more local and violent. To begin with, Kenya is one of the most unfair and unequal countries that we have. Reason, the centralization of power, centralization of resource management, centralization of decision making. Devolution has enabled us to make sure that these decisions come down to us as the local mwananchi. Then we can as well as choose our own leaders, making sure that we get what we need. All politics is local. These are words of Tip O'Neill. Voting is local and by the citizens themselves because they know what they really need. National leaders are detached from the local people. National leaders are far away from us. But devolution has brought these people closer to us, and we can air our views, we can speak to them and tell them that this is what we need. Central government promoted uneven development over the country. Some areas are marginalized. They don't even have roads. Others, they have very good roads. Well, devolution has enabled us to have various good roads, good facilities, and these are what we enjoy. We're in national schools right now, and these national schools, some of which were not there. 90% of the national schools that were there before devolution were in Nairobi and maybe the central region. But now, after devolution, we have most of these national schools that some of you, including me, are in, a result of devolution. Well, sectional paper number 10 of 1965, the African Socialism and its application to planning in Kenya, states that government projects were to be established on more economically viable areas, leaving out the areas which are not economically viable, e.g. Marsabit and Wajir. But thanks to devolved government, just a few months ago they had their first road, tarmacked road for that fact. People are afraid of change. People are afraid of change. We are busy criticizing devolution. We are busy seeing what wrong is there and trying to take it away, instead of trying to correct the wrong that is there and make it work for us better. Are you going to criticize, or are you going to make it better? Ladies and gentlemen, devolution is making our lives better. Devolution is making us enjoy our rights as human beings, in that we are able to get basic human needs. Employment projects are coming up because of devolution. People are able to get various needs because they are employed in the county governments. Well, devolution has really changed our country. Devolution should be embraced. Devolution is not making politics become more local and violent. I rest my case.
Time now for cross-examinations. Proposers, you have 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Frida Murugi from the Maryhill Girls High School. I want to bring to you the notice of the opposers that it's not that I do not know anything about devolution. In fact, I know that Chapter 11 of the Kenyan Constitution speaks about devolution. Article 187, Sub-Article 1A, and Sub-Article 2A and B talks about transfer of resources and functions. That much we know. In fact, we know about the heaven that devolution promises. But what are we talking about here? He has asked us the question that, are we going to criticize devolution or not? In fact, as earlier stated, we are not criticizing devolution. We are just saying that there are merits and demerits of devolution. And as long as we have witnessed the demerits of devolution, we are not going to keep quiet about that, because that makes it personal. It's about us. Now, in fact, I don't see what I'm rebuttaling, because what they have spoken basically is about the advantages of devolution. Those are promises. Now, what happened after those promises? That is what we want them to give us, tangible evidence. Maybe to begin with, I could say that devolution causes what we call power contests. That is, everyone wants labels, aesthetic power. You know, when we bring the power down to these devolved units, actually we are telling people that, you know what, in fact, if you did not get an opportunity to rule with the previous government, now you have the opportunity to have your say. You get my point? So now, everyone wants to be the one to have the say, because now it has been brought closer to them. Now let's take an example where violence actually has been used, and that's why I'm saying that devolution has brought more violence in politics. Let's take an example of the many counties where we've had actually strive for power being made a blood issue. I want to dare the opposition to give us, let's say an example, here at home in Kenya, we have 47 counties. Let's say give us approximately a half the number, no, not a half, a quarter, God, why a quarter? Let's say 5 counties where there has not been violence with this devolved government. I'll be kind enough to give you examples of where we've had actually violence with its roots in the devolved government. Let's start with Marsabit. We will move on and go maybe north to Moyale. Then we talk about Nandi, Bungoma, and at last I want to bring them home, Makueni. In Makueni County, before someone rings the bell for me, in Makueni County, 5 people were shot. Do you know why they were shot? The senator had a meeting to outstar the governor from office. As clever as he could be, he came up with his opposition. And in the process, 5 innocent souls were wounded.
Rebuttaled now from the opposition. You have 3 minutes.
The city is at peace, but why is it a fortress? I think the goose was already slayed, but why was it not eaten? I'm going straight to answer the very first question. To answer her, because she said she's not rejecting, Devolution, the first person on stage, and I remind her, when you're washing your child and you throw away the child with the bath water, are you accepting the child? She will answer me next time. She went straight to remind me, she began by telling me that devolution stirs ethnic polarization. But I ask you, before devolution, there were 47 districts in this country, and all of them have formed the basis of the counties we had. And there before, do you want to tell me nobody was killed? Do you want to tell me 2007, 2008, there was some devolution that was going on? Still violence was there. Violence has been there, and it will be there in as much as we try to avoid it. It's part of human community for people to disagree. And when all of you agree, then remember, you are going down the wrong way. She also talked about job discrimination. And I remind you, while we are devolving the government, we said we want to create opportunities for those people living down there in those counties. Somebody can't come all the way from Turkana to come and rear the cattle in Nairobi. So now that we have devolved them, do you want us to still carry you from Nairobi to go and rear the cattle down there? We are creating jobs for them. And that's our ultimate position. And therefore, what she said, I believe, was actually what I wanted to say. She saved me the pain. Well, there's someone who dared us to give them of a county where there has been no violence. But I remind you, it wasn't violence. It was a disagreement. Somebody was trying to make a big thing out of a small thing. Actually, it's the law of the media. Where it bleeds, it leads. They try to find headlines. Let me ask you, before that man was battered in Nyeri and put on the headlines, how many men had been battered before? She also came up so clearly to remind me of the cases whereby we are having more political leaders who say, I remember the wise words, 2 heads are better than one. If I was debating alone against just one girl, I think this debate will be over. I think we'll just basically express what we know. But now that we've brought more people, we are sharing ideas. We have created more political vacancies for more intelligent people to come in. Let me ask you, and don't misquote me, if Mutua didn't become the governor, how long would you wait for him to become the president? I'm from Machakos County, from Wala specifically, and he's built a road that for the 3 times I've seen elections gone in my place, every MP is the first vote, I'll bring tarmac road. It was made within a record time of 3 months under Mutua's government. Ladies and gentlemen, Kennedy Kioko, Makueni voice.
I'll be there with M-Pesa. I'll be there with M-Shwari. I'll be there when you're sickly. I'll be there through troubled times, underwater, over hills.
Take part in the M Challenge by sending your short song, rap or poem about Safaricom M-Pesa on WhatsApp, and you could win 1,000 shillings in Safaricom airtime.
Questions for the proposers?
A question to the proposers. One of you said that we have 47 counties. That means we have 47 corrupt mini-states or counties. Are you sure all counties are corrupt?
Question for the opposers.
My question goes to the second opposer. We've created more vacancies, brought in more intellectual people, to develop our places, but at the same time, increased our wage bill, damaged the taxpayer's pocket. How do you justify that? Thank you.
May we have the third proposer take the stage.
My lovely audience, forget about the bunch of confident lies. Here now is the reality. To begin with, I take your questions. Are you sure that all the counties are corrupt? If 4 of the counties in Kenya are not corrupt and the rest 43 are corrupt, are we going anywhere? Food for thought. Note, we are not against devolution. We only suggest that the way we are implementing this devolution, it's not the way to go. Think about a knife. A knife is very good. It can be used to cut a wedding cake. At the same time, it can be used to stab a man. This, in the same case, is devolution. If we do not implement devolution the way it is supposed to be done, according to the guidelines in our constitution, it is not going to work. Can I show how? In Nairobi, they have been, in the current budget, they were given 15.2 billion, Nakuru 7.4 billion, Kakamega 6.6 billion, Bungoma 5.2 billion. Now, we cannot see any development so far. What has this money been used to do? So far, we do not see the results. In a recent research carried out by IPO's Sinovate poll, the percentage of the respondents who did not register confidence in the devolved government, of course, cited some reasons. 64% argued that the process is associated with too much politics. 31% of these 64 said that it involves or it creates divisions at the county level, and 23% that it is associated with poor leadership. In addition, 53% cited that financial factors are affecting devolution. How? It was too costly. Then it has prompted an increase in taxation. Is this what we want? You think about it.
The opposition, you also have 3 minutes to respond to the audience.
Hello everyone, my name is Joel Moore from Makueni Boys High School. You asked about employees and taxes. I just want to give one brief answer. You pay as much as you earn. All the new employees are basically economically productive, raising more even space to cater for our large wage bill. Well, I want to go straight and talk about the local part of our motion today. You know, locals determine the development priorities of their counties. I want to give a simple example. Mandera doesn't need fiber optics to keep track of their cattle, but Nairobi businessmen need fiber optics to do online marketing. Now, tell me, if this is the same Kenya that was once a central unit, tell me if in Mandera right now, they would still have the same services we have in Nairobi. It is as though infrastructure and services are closer to you according to the proximity you are from Nairobi. Back in time, little disagreement among few people would affect the whole nation. I remember the 2007 elections violence. It affected all of us. But right now, a little issues in Makueni do not affect the whole country. Issues elsewhere do not affect me too. So devolution has simply helped us to narrow down to our own grievances in our own ways. I can deal with my things my own way, not bringing trouble up to you too. And then thirdly, talking of local, devolution hasn't in fact improved Kenyan politics from a mediocre level or just to any other standard level. But what it has done, it has given us the right opportunities to stand out on clear grounds about what we really need. And you know, the first that we are directly involved in progression in our counties. We make choices, we are able to raise our points, and we are able to say what we really need for ourselves, and it happens. And then the fact that Our leaders are in the spotlight because they are closer home. Gives us room to monitor their doings, their actions, and hence they are kept on toes to make sure that they meet our interests. Then somebody asked what hope is. Well, I'll say that hope is that feeling I'm having right now, that I'm actually winning this debate. Thank you.
Closing statements now. We begin with the proposers. You have 1 minute.
According to biology, we learn about hybrid vigor, where we say that the offspring actually acquires superior traits to that of the parents. Here is the county government, an offspring of the main government. It will still carry on with the inefficiency, ineffective, and the corrupt nature of the main government. We are not against devolution. I stand my ground. I am still insisting we are not against devolution. What we are trying to say is for this devolution, this centralized government and this local government to come together to ensure proper interpretation and implementation of the devolution in accordance with the Constitution. Thank you.
The opposition, you also have 1 minute for your closing statement.
When you get yourself seated on a time bomb, there are two things which will happen depending on the environment. If you're in a real life situation, you will mess up and get up and it will blow on you. You go up in pieces. And if you're in a movie, then the starring, say Rambo, will come in good time and save you before it goes up. What we are doing is sitting on a time bomb. We are sitting on the fence. We are not against devolution. But what are we saying? We are saying devolution is bringing violence. That's sitting on the fence. Take a side. If there is violence, what do? Do you just sit out there and start shouting? That's not exactly what I think Socrates will tell a wise man to do. Socrates will tell you, sit down, talk to yourself, and when you shout, shout an action. Don't shout words. This is just what I would like to tell to all of you. Devolution is the remedy we have been waiting for. Let's not do what the Jews did. They waited for Jesus for centuries, but immediately he was born, they rejected him. And that's exactly what they did. That's what the hypocrites did. They crucified him. Kennedy Kyoko, on behalf of Makueni boys, I present our parcel.
Maryhill School, Girls School, Sybil, Frida, and Enid, a powerhouse right there. Dennis, Kennedy, and Joel, again, another powerhouse from Makueni County. You are representing that part of the country very well. And so all I can say is all the best to the two schools.
Both teams, you're at par. You're quite strong. You have your own merits, and I think your merits outdo your merits actually outdo the demerits that may be there. The debate is getting hot. The debate is getting better, and I expect the teams that are yet to do their presentations and submissions to be quite on the alert.
For Sybil, Dennis, Frida, and Enid, I didn't get words to describe you, and I didn't have any comments for you because you're simply good. For Joel, I mean, this has been a much improvement. I mean, comparing you from the previous debates, this has been a plus. Kennedy, wow, it's amazing, and we're proud of you. All the best to the two teams.
Both teams have tied for 75%. Those are perhaps the highest scores we've seen, so we'd like to congratulate both teams. It was a great effort, and it reminds us that sometimes there is no right or wrong way. There is only your way and my way. From the Great Debaters Contest, I am your host, Mariam Bishar.
And I am Austin Nyambok. Catch you next time.
The Great Debaters Contest was brought to you by Safaricom M-Pesa.